Thank you guys. My name is Mr. Mpepu and today's date 24 September 2024 and the time there 58 minutes past 11. Heritage Day guys. With that being said, Sanbonani, Dumelani, Afsheni, hello. Nda guys, I personally welcome you to our life sciences revision classes week 1 week term 1 week 7 today. So thank you for joining us guys. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like. If you are a returning student guys, thank you for pushing this movement with me. Human reproduction. Today we'll be covering the structure of a male and female reproductive system, puberty and gametogenesis in 10 minutes or under 10 minutes if we are lucky guys. So unfortunately we are here. Thank you guys for choosing me. Yesterday we managed to cover up until this slide. Today we are starting with our new topic, human reproduction, our female and male reproductive system, spermatogenesis or genesis. There hopefully we'll cover that in 10 minutes or less than 10 minutes. So our 10 minutes on but human reproduction guys, we studied this chapter studying the human reproduction, and then we studied that all organisms has to undergo or have to reproduce to ensure the survival of their species, right? We studied the male and female reproductive system, the puberty, how the gametes are produced, hormonal changes that occur during menstrual cycle. We also studied fertilization, development of zygote, including implantation and gestation, right? And then they also urge us that for us to understand this topic, we have to understand meiosis and mitosis, right? Fertilization in our human life cycle as illustrated in this diagram below. Far from there, we have our meiosis happening in our ovaries and our testes to produce our ovum and our sperm cells. These two, they are going to fuse together in the process called fertilization, and then the diploid zygote is going to be formed, and then this zygote is going to develop by mitosis up until we reproduce a fully human body, right? And then from there they give us a small revision yana. They were somatic cells guys. They are diploid cells, right? And then they undergo the process of mitosis when our human body are growing or we are repairing a damaged tissue. But in our gametes, there our gametes are formed by our process called meiosis, where these diploid, they are halved to form a haploid, and then these two cells, a sperm cell and egg cell, they are going to fuse in a process resulting in fertilization, and then a diploid zygote is going to be formed, and then the zygote is going to develop by mitosis to form a human body. And from there we have our key terminology. We have our gametes, which will be an egg cell on a sperm cells with the number of chromosomes halved there. We have our gametogenesis, which is the process where the gametes are being produced by our testes and ovaries. In our testes we see spermatogenesis, where the sperms are being produced, and in our ovaries we see oogenesis, where our egg cells are being produced through meiosis. And then we have our germinal epithelial with the cuboidal epithelial, which found on the surface of the testes and ovaries, and then they mature to form a sperm cell and egg cell respectively. In our male reproductive system, we have our main male reproductive system, which is the pair of testes there inside our scrotum, right? We also have the various tubes and our ducts, seminiferal tubule, epididymis, vas deferens, and urethra. The accessory glands, we have our prostate gland, our corpus glands, our seminal vesicles, and then the external genital, what we see is our penis there. And then we move on, this will be our penis, and this will be our testes that produce our sperm cells, right? And then this will be our epididymis that stores those maturing cells, and then from there we see our vas deferens there that transmit those sperm cells from our epididymis to our urethra. We have our scrotum there regulating the temperature to keep it 2 degrees or 3 degrees lower than our body temperature. From there, as we can see, our sperm cell, they are going to pass our seminal vesicles, where an alkaline is going to be produced so that it's going to neutralize the vaginal acidity. From there we have our prostate gland that is going to produce a nutrient, and then from there we have our corpus gland that is going to produce a mucus, and at the end of the day we have our semen, and that semen is going to pass via the urethra, deposited by our penis to our vagina. As you can see there, we have the structure, the function, and the part. We have our testes that produce sperm cells. We have our scrotum 2 degrees lower than the body out there, have to hang those testes outside of the body. We have our epididymis that stores spermatids temporally, vas deferens there that transport that sperm from epididymis to urethra. We have our urethra that transmit the urine and the semen. We have our prostate gland that produce nutrient-rich fluid, and then we have our corpus gland that produce mucus, and now we have our seminal vesicles that produce those alkaline fluid to neutralize the vaginal acidity which could would kill the sperm. And then in our testes, we found that we have our seminiferal tubules. Yes, our testes, will be our testes. This will be our seminiferal tubules, epididymis vas deferens. And in this, we have our cells. We have our geminal epithelial cells which produce sperm cells, right? And we also have those that are produce Sertoli cells that provide nutrients. And we also have our cells of Leydig. If we look closer there, we have our cells of Leydig that produce our testosterone. As you can see that this is a seminiferal tubule curled longitudinally, right? And then we have our Sertoli cell, geminal epithelial cells there. We have spermatids there, the developing sperm cells. And then we have our mature sperm cells that are going to be stored to our epididymis. And then we have our testosterone that functions as the development of male secondary sexual characteristics, puberty. And then we have this testosterone stimulate the maturing of our sperm cell. From there, we have our scrotum there. They are telling us that our scrotum, our testis, has to hang outside of a human body, so that we'll have to maintain an optimum temperature which is less 2 degrees or 3 degrees lower than the human body temperature. So in a hot day, our testes are going to hang, but in a cold day, our testis has to be pushed inside our body or closer to our body to maintain that temperature. With our female reproductive system, we have the main female sex organ, which will be our ovaries. We have the duct, fallopian tube. We have accessory glands, which will be the uterus and the vagina. And then we have the external genitals. What we see the vulva there. As we can see, we have the vulva, which will be the opening of our vagina. Then we'll have a vagina where a penis is going to deposit those sperms. We have the cervix, which will open during the childbirth. We have our endometrium, which is the lining of our uterus. We have our uterus, which houses our embryo or protect our fetus during the development. We have our fallopian tube, which is the site of fertilization. We have our ovaries that produce our ovum or our egg, right? Those are the parts and those are the function. Ovaries produce eggs, fallopian tube, site for fertilization, uterus houses and protect embryos and fetus, endometrium, a site for implantation and placenta forms, cervix, this one is going to stretch and open, allow childbirth, vagina, receive the penis and semen during sexual intercourse, childbirth, canal, and then the vulva, they protect the entrance of our vagina. And then as you can see, there's an activity. If you manage to label this, you are good to go. We have our urethra, vas deferens, and then we also have our prostate gland, we have our testes, we have our fallopian tube, we have our uterus, we have our ovary, we have our vagina. You know the functions and you are good to go. And then as you can see there, that's the activity. Identify parts A up to H. You know. And then we have our puberty there at the age of 11 and 15. You know that we start to develop our secondary sexual characteristics there. And then we see that we have hormones that are produced, and then that stimulate the gametogenesis, and then that stimulate our sexual maturity. At the end of the day, we are going to be sexually matured. And then we have the difference between males and female. In males, we see that a sex hormone testosterone is produced, but in our female, we see estrogen and progesterone. This side, they grow of hair on our scrotum, pubic hair. This side, they are going to grow around our vulva, also called pubic hair. We have our growth under our armpits. We also have our growth under the armpits. The facial growth, the facial hair is going to grow, the voice is going to become deeper, and then the muscles are going to enlarge and the shoulder going to become wider. Also this side, the hips and the fat is going to be deposited under the skin. The penis is going to enlarge together with the testes. This side, the breasts are going to enlarge, right? From there, we move to our gametogenesis, which is the process whereby the gametes are being formed by the process of meiosis. It includes spermatogenesis and oogenesis, right? And then spermatogenesis, this is where the sperms, the male gametes, which are the sperms, are being produced, and then produced by the process of meiosis there, and then to form 23 chromosomes, 22 autosomes with X or Y. You still remember this, right? And then they start as an haploid. Those germinal epithelial cells, they undergo meiosis, and then they form 4 haploid spermatids. And then this is the structure of a sperm cell. We have our long tail for motility or for swimming, and we also have the middle part having our mitochondria for energy. We have our nucleus there that houses our chromosomes, and then we also genetical material. We have our acrosomes there that houses the enzymes that are going to penetrate our egg there that's going to allow our fertilization, right? And then we have our oogenesis there. In our oogenesis, this is the production of our female gametes, which will be the ova or the egg. And then there we see that in our germinal epithelial cells in our ovaries, they are going to start by the process of mitosis, right? If you still remember. And then from mitosis, we are going to see our follicle stimulating hormone at the day 28 there. And then one cell inside the follicle is going to enlarge and undergoes the process of meiosis. And then 4 haploid cells, they are going to be formed. And then 3 of them, they are going to be degenerated. And 1 is going to mature to become an egg cell or an ovum, right? As you can see the structure of an ovum, we have our follicle cells, we have our nucleus, we have our cytoplasm, and we have our layer of jelly. As you can see there, our nucleus have our 22 autosomes and X chromosome, which is X in female. And then we also have our cytoplasm that nourishes the egg, and we also have the jelly layer provide the protection. And from there we have our activity, and that was the end of our today revision classes. But gametogenesis, name the organ where meiosis takes place in males and females reproductive system respectively. This will be our testes, our ovaries. Define gametogenesis. This is the process whereby our gametes are being formed in the process of meiosis. And then name the type of gametogenesis that take place in a male and female reproductive system. Spermatogenesis in male, oogenesis in our female. Draw and fully label the diagram of our ovum. You have to say our nucleus there, our cytoplasm, our layer of jelly, and then those follicle cells there, right? Something like that. And then discuss my timer is up. Discuss the functions of 4 main parts of our sperm cell. We have our acrosomes, we have our mitochondria, we have our acrosomes, we have our nucleus, we have our mitochondria, and we have our tail. That will be today's lesson, guys. If you manage to reach this part, don't forget to like, guys. If you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. If you are a returning student, thank you for pushing this movement with us. Yes, the structure of our ovum. And thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for choosing me. This will be the structure of our sperm cell. Until we meet again tomorrow, thank you, guys. Tomorrow will be at week 8, menstrual cycle, fertilization, and development of zygote. These are revision classes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing me. My name is Mr. Mpepu, and we are Ali donate again. So thank you, guys. Thank you. If you can like, guys, put the thumb up, guys. Comment if you comment. If I did mistake, something like that, if I said something wrong, do comment, guys. This is our class. This is our movement. We are moving together. Until I meet you again, thank you. Peace. Hawe buroko ndanduna ndiyanifuna. Thank you.